Hi, this is Dr. Pearce here. I'm back after a couple of months break, and in the interim, we have reached 160 subscribers. Yay, thanks for that. And we recently got a comment on an old video about how to help a kid with DMDD who's struggling in school, with a particular emphasis on my objection to punishing kids. So let's jump right in. Hi, this is Dr. Brett Pearce, child psychologist. It's been a while, as I mentioned in the intro. Probably won't go into a ton of details, but I've been busy. I've been doing a lot of kind of work inside myself, and I can never say work inside myself without sounding very much like a therapist. So I guess it's a good thing that I am one. So moving on. So a shout out to a commenter who posted a question about kiddo with disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. Bottom line, we're just going to say a lot of intense explosive tantrums, a lot of behavior problems, things like that. For just everyone's information, disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, or DMDD, is a childhood depressive disorder characterized by rages and tantrums that have to be occurring in more than one setting, usually at home and at school. So the specific question was effectively saying, well, you're saying that I can't punish him or that I shouldn't punish him, but he's having all these difficulties at school, so what should I do? So that's an excellent question. I guess there's two pieces to this. So piece number one, I guess I'll reemphasize why I object to punishment, and I'll try to offer some alternatives. But the challenging thing is that people tend to boil down helping kids with emotional and behavioral difficulties to sort of punishment, yes or no. And obviously the world of helping anyone learn and grow and learn new skills and handle intense feelings, that's very complicated. So I totally acknowledge that. It's difficult to cover all that in a video. I'll do my best to offer some ideas. So the first piece is punishment and why you definitely, absolutely should not do it with a kiddo who's struggling with this style of difficulties. The second piece is school, what to do about a kid who is struggling in school. And the frustrating answer to that question is mostly going to be not much. So I'll get into that. So let's first talk about punishment. Why is punishment such a bad idea? Well, punishment effectively is just the use of pain or something aversive, in other words, sort of mildly painful, in order to basically try to modify behavior. And punishment basically through research has shown to produce effectively one consistent result, and that's anger. And so if you've got a kid who's got DMDD who is struggling with a lot of rage, and in fact explosive rages, these two things don't go together. It's like trying to put out a fire with gas, folks. It's never going to work. And in fact, sometimes when we're struggling, even physically, of course, what we have to do is maybe find out what's irritating or even really bothering or making the body sick and remove it. And, the body knows how to heal. And the same thing is true with the mind, and the same thing is true with kids. So punishment is stressful, it strains relationships, it engenders a lot of anger and resentment. It doesn't really teach skills. It doesn't help us grow. It can signal us that our behavior is unacceptable, but we don't need to do that to signal someone that their behavior is unacceptable. We can sit down and tell them, we can confront them, we can intervene. As far as what else to do, that's a tough one. Because in this particular context, you're dealing with some really abstract, out of context stuff, right? Like, so even if you're dealing with, like, say, an 8, 9, 10-year-old, what happens is the kid gets out of context, that is, they're done with school and they come home. And then we're trying to deal with this all in the abstract, and that's really challenging. So in this exact context, probably the best thing that you can do is focus more on problem solving and being supportive and available. Because no one, whether you're a kid with DMDD or an adult who's having a fight with your boss at work, no one processes feelings terribly well when they feel defensive and they don't necessarily have like a safe, supportive place to go to process their feelings and try to think about ways of handling a situation that is a problem. So that's the first big thing we want to think about doing, is how do we connect and validate and try to help the kid get used to kind of processing feelings, discussing them with people, particularly mom and dad, and trying to think about, well, what can I do to make this feel better? Because kids who are struggling with depression, adults too, of course, tend to get locked in negativity and have a hard time moving past it. And so we're not going to unlock them by sort of contributing to that negativity, even if our intentions are good, which they usually are when it comes to helping kids. The second reason, or the second thing to think about with school, is we don't want to put the kid into kind of like a double jeopardy situation. Which is to say, if the kid already had a horrible day at school, had a bunch of tantrums, that's already bad enough. And the chances are the school is already implementing some kind of consequence. And even if there isn't an official consequence, because we have to watch out for that. Consequences and rewards are all around us, whether we're doing it intentionally or officially, giving something away, taking something away, giving a privilege, taking away a privilege. Just even imagine how embarrassing it would be to have a massive tantrum in this public situation with all these other kids and everything. It would be humiliating. So there's already a consequence there. And what you certainly don't want to do is to then say, okay, here's another consequence when you get home. It's overkill and it's not fair. And basically what it's going to teach the kid to do is to kind of clam up about everything, and maybe even to start to fib about what's going on at school and things like that. So what we want to do is also work with the school, and we need to give the power back to the school, in the sense that we have to acknowledge there's not really a lot that we could do realistically to manage this behavior. So by way of example, I'm a trained professional. I've worked with thousands and thousands of kids, basically regarding about any issue you could think about. Not because there's something particularly awesome about me, although, maybe there is, but it's just because it's what I do. It's my job, and I have a lot of training in it. So if someone said to me, here, Dr. Pearce, I'll pay you this untold fortune if you can just talk with us about the magic technique to do to make this kid who's dearly struggling in school with negative behavior, just tell us what to do and we'll do it. And if it's successful, we'll give you all this money. And I would be like, look, I'm really tempted by your offer, but I don't know. I don't know the magic. If I were to be directly involved, I would need to go to the school, and it's not a criticism of the school, but I would need to see what's happening. I probably would need to coach staff at the school a little bit. And I would also need to be working directly with the kid, kind of live in the moment. And it would be about okay, how do we recognize triggers to your issues? How do we think about removing yourself from the situation so you can calm down? How do we think about good kind of peer management, and peer interaction skills? Because there's all sorts of triggers that are likely contributing to this. So, like I said, helping a kid with this kind of issue, it's complicated. So what to do instead of punishment? Well, lots of other stuff. But believe me, if you don't know what else to do and you just omit the punishment in this situation, you're not doing anyone a disservice. All you're doing is saying, well, this is something that's likely just going to make you more angry, and it's also going to kind of put a little bit of a roadblock in our relationship here, because now you're going to feel like, well, I just messed up at school and now I get home, and if I even show this to you, if you even find out that I had a bad day, then I'm going to get punished again. So I may as well clam up or maybe even outright fib about it. It's going to remove all of that so that at least it's not adding fuel to the fire. So I don't know if this was particularly helpful, because the reality is that this kiddo, if he's not, he probably should be, if you've got a kiddo with DMDD, you should be seeing a therapist and getting a lot of targeted, ongoing advice from that therapist on how to manage these behavior problems. And then that therapist can also work with kiddo on his end of things in terms of helping him cope. So excellent comment, excellent question. Thank you so much. I'm very surprised to see that in my few months absence that people are still interested in the channel and making some comments. So thank you so much. So I guess we're about to end here, but happy 2021. See you later, 2020, and good riddance if you ask me. Please look forward to a lot more video content from me moving forward, probably once or twice a week. So thanks very much, and take care. Bye-bye.